key things we should be knowing about the body? Are all bodies the same when it comes to how foods, I guess, are consumed and assimilated through the body and the bloodstream and all these different things? Or is everybody different where some nutritional foods might impact positively but negatively in other bodies? What should we be knowing about the body?
Yeah, it's a great question. And first of all, I'm a scientist. So I will tell you how you can tell that I'm a scientist is that real scientists tell you we don't know everything. Okay.
Mm,
And it's a kind of humility that we have to start with because so often you think about, scientists being very smart in things. Real scientists spend their time talking about what we don't know, not what we do know. So,
right.
but you're asking me what we do know. All right. So I'll give you that. So I'll give you that answer. Look, uh, our bodies are hardwired to be healthy. So when we're growing in our mom's womb, our body, as we're forming our bones and our heart and our organs and our limbs inside the form of the human that's being created, are these health defenses. So you think about the body like a fortress. You've seen we all seen a medieval fortress, a castle, right? And basically, like it's a happy community that lives inside there. You got a king, you got a queen, you got a princess, you got everything else
Mm,
going inside there. But that fortress has got to protect itself. So it's designed to repel enemies. It's got a moat, it's got a drawbridge, it's got the little slits you fire arrows out of. It's got sloping walls so enemies can't crawl up. It's got traps. And by the way, like in a medieval fort, the thing that I never realized, having been to quite a few castles, is that when you go into the entrance, there is a hole right above you, and it's
mm,
called a murder hole. And it's
really?
basically if people breach the drawbridge, they would just drop rocks,
Oh
boulders
my
down through that
gosh.
hole. All right. So the body is designed better than a medieval castle.
No.
We've got our own defense systems, and there's 5 of them that I know about, and I helped to kind of put together this picture, partly because I studied the biotechnology. How do you actually treat diseases using these systems? And when you forget about the disease part and you think about the health part,
Mm,
these are the systems, these 5 systems that maintain our health. So I'll tell you what they are.
okay.
First health defense system is called angiogenesis. That's what I study. Blood vessels, a 60,000-mile channel that delivers oxygen and nutrients everywhere. Got to have enough of them, or our body is in trouble.
So it's called
Second,
angiogenesis.
and
This is the channel of blood vessels, or this is the
this is how the body grows blood vessels.
okay.
It is a whole system of growth.
Okay.
When we have just the right amount of blood vessels, our body is healthy. Now,
Mm,
when you're going to go to work out, all right, you're going to pump some iron.
yeah.
Your muscles got to grow. Now you
Mm,
need a few more blood vessels. All right. If you skin your knee and fall off a bike, got to heal that wound. Underneath that scab, you got new blood vessels growing to heal. Now, the body never lets too many blood vessels to grow or causes problems. For example,
mm,
cancers are forming in all of our bodies because we're filled with these dividing cells, and some of them make mistakes. But a microscopic cancer is completely harmless because it doesn't have a blood supply. And so our body prevents cancers from growing naturally by controlling the angiogenesis. So we just got
mm,
enough for our good cells, not enough for the bad cells. So that's one
okay.
of our health defenses. And there are treatments, including ones that I helped to develop, that can cut off the blood supply to cancer by cutting off it, by starving it. So
Mm,
that's called anti-angiogenic therapy. And the same approach has been used to prevent blindness. All right. So you don't have blood vessels leaking in the eye.
mm.
However, turns out that sometimes your body needs a little help. So now you can actually use foods to actually amp up your body's angiogenesis defenses. So that's just one of the
Okay,
defenses.
that's the first one. What's the second one?
All right. Second one is our stem cells, right? So when we were kids, Lewis, like our grade school teachers told us salamanders can regenerate, starfish can regenerate, but people can't regenerate, right?
Hmm.
Wrong.
You lose your hand, it's not going to grow back.
Well, it turns out that people do regenerate. We don't regenerate that quickly, but we regenerate from the inside out. Like a lizard can regenerate like a limb or a tail, but we regenerate our organs continuously. Our lung regenerates, our liver regenerates. Okay, the lining of our mouth regenerates. If you've ever eaten a chip, all right, and scratched the inside of your mouth and it hurts, Next day, all fixed, right? Because of regeneration. All right. Now, here's the thing. Uh, um, Turns out that the way we naturally regenerate is through stem cells, not the kind you go to a strip mall to have injected into your knee, but this is the kind that we're born with.
Okay.
Because like when you and I were like sperm and egg meeting in our mom's womb and dividing. That's what we were. These are stem cells. We were all formed from these primitive cells that could be anything. It could be an eye, it could be a nose, it could be a heart, and they formed our whole body. And there's always some overage, okay? And so you have more than you need to form into a person. And when we're born, about 750 million stem cells are left over, and they are packed up in a suitcase and stuffed into our bone marrow. All right. And so when we're born, even a little baby, inside their bone marrow, in this hollow of their bones, are 750 million stem cells, and they are stored there like like bullets in a bandolier, waiting for when they're needed, so that when we grow up and we need to be regenerated, you know, you have too much to drink. Now your liver needs to be regenerated. You cut yourself. Now you need to actually heal that wound. These stem cells come flying out of our bone marrow like bees out of a hive.
Wow.
To regenerate us, renew us from the inside out. And there are biotech efforts that I've been a part of to try to grow new heart, grow new brain, regenerate nerves. Not ready for prime time yet, but it turns out that foods can coax these stem cells out of our bone marrow so we regenerate faster.
Huh. Which foods? Well, this is the second one, but I'm curious which foods can help us.
There are a number of them. I'll give you one right from the get-go is dark chocolate.
Oh, you're speaking my language now. Okay. So dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Can you eat too much dark chocolate? That's the question.
I have never seen anything about an overdose of cacao, but I will tell you that cacao has been shown to actually double the number of stem cells flowing in your bloodstream just by having 2 cups of hot chocolate made with 80% high flavanol chocolate, dark chocolate.
Come on.
Yeah, it's been done in people 60-year-olds with heart disease.
So wait, what happens when you drink or you eat this dark chocolate?
Okay.
What happens?
Yeah, the polyphenols in this dark chocolate that we know what they are. They're called proanthocyanidins. So I'm a scientist, so my job is to actually know what the inside chemicals actually are. Yes. These are natural chemicals. All right. Most people don't need to know that, but you drink it and it tastes good. That's all you need to know. But I'll tell you, these natural chemicals found in cacao actually trigger a reaction in your body so that they call out the stem cells. So it is literally like bees flying out of a hive, can double the number of stem cells. And what's the practical impact? Well, there was a study done at UCSF in San Francisco that looked at 60-year-old men with heart disease. So these are people whose blood vessels were already not doing so well, and their blood flow wasn't going so well either, and their blood vessels were kind of sick. That's kind of the definition of heart disease. Mm-hmm. By having the stem cells coming out, they were able to actually double the resiliency, the function of their blood vessels. So they got better rebound, they're better agility. Their blood vessels are in better shape because their stem cells are regenerating their circulation.
Wow.
So this is human studies, right? Like most of the time you hear about scientists talking about rats or mice or cells. I'm talking about human studies. And that's kind of where we are with food as medicine. It's not the kind of like the guesswork. Like we can do serious research to get down to exactly what's actually happening at the human level. So that's the second health defense systems.
Okay. Third one?
Third one is our gut microbiome. Now, people have been talking about gut health and microbiome. It's almost like a buzzword these days. And people are saying, well, we can actually scoop your poop and we can actually measure your microbiome and we can tell you what you need to eat and what you don't need to eat. Again, I'm a scientist, so I will tell you that there are 39 trillion bacteria in the typical body. That's more stars than in a night sky. All right.
Wow. So
we barely understand the gut bacteria, but what we do know is that this gut bacteria actually controls our metabolism. communicates with our brain, actually can help us heal from the inside out. And very importantly, our gut bacteria basically lives. If you think of your gut like a garden hose, it's a tube, and you were to cut a garden hose in half, and you look inside it, there's a lining. Okay, the bacteria is inside the hose, but inside the wall of the garden hose, that's where your immune system. 70% of our immune system lives inside our gut. So our gut bacteria,
70%.
yeah,
So if you're feeding your gut a lot of bad foods, it's
you're
probably yeah.
You're poisoning your immune system. You're
Wow.
preventing your gut bacteria. Now, I'll tell you what's interesting about the gut bacteria. Your gut bacteria talks to the immune system right through the walls of your gut. Immune system's in there, 70%, right? Like a jelly roll, like the jelly in a jelly roll, and the gut bacteria is inside. So think about like a college student in a freshman dorm. They are talking to their roommate by pounding on the wall, right? What do you want? What kind of pizza do you want? All right. And they can answer you. And that's basically what our gut bacteria says to our immune system. So we got to keep that gut healthy. By the way, interestingly, and I've done research on this, certain gut bacteria can actually signal to your brain. It's a gut brain axis, and cause your brain to release social hormones.
Wow.
Okay. And can affect your mood. So, when you've got a crappy gut and you feel crummy in your gut, I guarantee you, like, it's not just because you're irritated, it's affecting your brain as well.
That's crazy.
So,
yeah, we had Dr. Emran Mayer on, who has got the gut. I think it's the gut brain connection or the gut immune connection or something like that. So he's got a lot of great research on that.
Yeah. So, well, the key thing though is that foods can actually help right size your gut health. Think about it like an ecosystem, the Great Barrier Reef. So certain foods can support the ecology, the ecosystem, the Great Barrier Reef, and certain ones actually kill the coral. All right. And so it continuously want to keep it in good shape all the way through our lives. And by the way, even conditions like autism, Alzheimer's, and schizophrenia are all now seemingly connected to our gut bacteria.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, is there a way, if someone has those, are they pretty easy to reverse though, or is that hard?
We're just figuring this out, because right now, medically, we prescribe medications to try to treat those things, and a lot of times those medications just blunt the symptoms. Okay, they cover up the symptoms. They don't get at the underlying cause. Now, we don't know exactly how the gut bacteria communicates with the brain completely yet, but there's one giant nerve called the vagus nerve. It's like a giant shoe. It's about the thickness of a shoelace, and it hangs from our brain all the way down into our gut. Okay, goes right near, wraps around our esophagus on the way down. And we think the gut bacteria basically sends text messages up to the brain through this big nerve. Okay, so the key though is that foods can actually influence our gut bacteria, either good bacteria or bad bacteria. So that's important. So that's a third health defense system.
Okay. So with the first,
angiogenesis, number one.
Yes.
Stem cells, number two.
Stem cells.
Gut microbiome, number three.
Okay. The fourth one?
Number four, our DNA. Now, if you watch CSI, DNA is just sort of like a genetic fingerprint, a code that you can find on a crime scene. Or if you're actually trying to do ancestry, look for your ancestors, you figure out how much of you is Neanderthal, right?
Yeah. So, I think I was 1% Neanderthal when I did it. Yes.
So the key though is DNA is a lot more than our genetic code. It actually protects us from the environment. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you know how if we are exposed to, we get sunburn, ultraviolet light, you damage your DNA, and what happens? Cancer, skin cancer, right? If you inhale lots of fumes from a chemical plant, it's going to actually damage your DNA in your lungs. You get lung cancer, right? But think about it. If you are in Los Angeles and you're driving on the I-10, or if you're actually just walking on a beach, you are actually getting ultraviolet radiation. So how come we don't get skin cancer all the time? Because our DNA is hardwired to fix itself from damage. And so the DNA is a protective mechanism from the environment. I always tell people when you're pumping gas, if you still drive a gas vehicle as opposed to an EV, I always ask people, do you stand upwind or downwind? What do you do? Are you upwind or downwind? Do you know?
I mean, well, upwind, right? So you're not getting the fumes in. Is that what you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you're standing downwind, you can smell the fumes,
Yes.
right? And if you're smelling the fumes, you are poisoning the DNA in your lung. So how come we don't develop lung cancer after pumping gas? Because our DNA is hardwired to fix itself. And so our DNA is sort of like a self-defense mechanism against the environment, radon from your basement, okay? Off-gassing from the new car you just got, or the Uber that you're riding in, or the furniture that you got, right? So like this is this incredible defense mechanism against our environment. And then and foods can actually speed up the repair, help fix holes that are in our DNA. And then the other kind of pièce de résistance for our DNA's defense is that there's something called a telomere. I don't know if you've ever had anybody on your show talk about telomeres.
Telomeres?
Yeah.
Yes.
These are
see if you're the longer the telomere, the longer you can live or something, or they can.
Right. Well, I'll tell you basically what like to remind your listeners and viewers, basically, if your DNA is like a shoelace, the telomere is like the little plastic cap at the end of the shoelace. And over time, that little cap kind of wears down, just like on a shoelace. And when that cap is gone, man, that your shoelace just falls apart.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to our DNA. So we need that cap. That's called the telomere, and it burns down like a light fuse. So like Mission Impossible, light the fuse, right? So this thing is burning down, and when it burns down, that's it. Your cell's done. So what you want to do is to slow down your cellular aging, and harsh things that you do to your body, smoking cigarettes, being a couch potato, being exposed to damaging oxidative stress, actually just being stressed out, like we are now with this friggin' pandemic. Those things all shorten our telomeres. They burn the fuse faster.
Stress.
But foods can slow it down, and some foods can reverse it and lengthen the telomere, which is really cool from an aging perspective, right?
What are those top 3 foods that help lengthen the telomeres?
Green tea is one of them. Coffee. It's amazing. I used to live in Italy, and I just got into this habit of drinking espresso. So I got a little cup here. Amazingly, coffee actually lengthens your telomeres.
Come on.
I kid you not. It's quite amazing. And leafy greens, some of the polyphenols in leafy greens can also slow down, and some of them actually look like they can lengthen the telomeres as well. So the key thing is that we are not just hapless pawns of aging. We can actually do something about it, and we can also fight against our environment because look, the tax that we pay for being on planet Earth is we're exposed to stuff all the time, and we count on our body's health defenses to fix it. So that's a 4th defense, and our 5th defense is our immune system, which after 2 years, over the last 2 years, we all know how important our immune system is. But what if I told you that your immune system is so powerful that when it's in its best shape, even when you're 80 years old, it is strong enough to fight cancer. In fact, it can even wipe out metastatic cancer that's spread all over your body. That's how strong your immune system is if you give it the chance. And so here's what the immune system does. It's like an army of super soldiers. So Rangers, SEALs, Marines, Special Forces, these are all parts of the immune system, all cells of the immune system. And like the Special Forces, they've got their own weapons, their own training, their own tactics, but they all work together for, the collective good. And what happens is that when you've got good, strong defenses, you can fight off invaders from the outside, bacteria and viruses, for example. But it's not just outside invaders. You got inside invaders as well. And those little microscopic cancers are inside invaders. And so our immune system patrols our body, okay? Cops on a beat. And they're looking for things that don't look right. And you see that microscopic cancer that can't grow because it doesn't have a blood vessels feeding it, angiogenesis. Basically, the immune system goes there and takes them right out. Okay.
Wow.
And takes a sniper shot and it's gone. And so that's why we got to protect our immune system. And there are lots of foods that can actually boost our immunity as well.
What would be those top three that boost the immune system?
Blueberries are a food that definitely boosts the immune system. It's in young people as well as older people. Uh, they boost the natural killer cells, which is really cool. Broccoli sprouts can boost our immune system. Now, these are the 3 day old.
Sprouts.
These are like the 3 day old sprouts, right?
Okay.
Okay. I mean, okay. Here's something most people don't know. The big broccoli that when we eat broccoli, we really, our moms told us to eat the treetops, right? They're all the same. You go to the freezer section of a grocery store and you buy some frozen broccoli, and they all look the same. They're all the same size. That's not really what broccoli looks like. If you go to the farmer's market and you see a real broccoli, is this gigantic stem with a little bit of treetop. Okay. Right. So what's in a broccoli? It's called sulforaphanes. And that's what gives broccoli that unique taste of broccoli. It's a little sulfurous. Okay. So you got to put a little olive oil, a little bit of garlic, you can saute it up. Okay. Yeah. So the sulforaphanes, we've done research now looking at what's in the treetops. And it turns out that these sulforaphanes can starve cancer, anti-angiogenic, really? help your body cut off the blood supply to cancer. Broccoli treetops have it. But guess what? The stalk of the broccoli has twice as much of the good stuff than the treetops.
Eat the stalks.
Eat the stalks. So, man, like if you don't want to saute the stalks, like a lot of cultures will just cut the stalks and saute them. Stick it in a blender. You can make it into a smoothie or make a soup out of it. And so there's a lot of good things you can do. Put a little broccoli stem, little oregano powder. You can do light it right up, a little turmeric. It'll be really good a smoothie or a soup. However, here's the thing. So imagine this adult broccoli having these sulforaphanes. Well, it turns out that these big broccoli plants used to be sprouts. And the sprouts pretty much were sprouted from the seed with all the sulforaphanes it's ever going to have. All right. So when it gets bigger, it just gets distributed with the stalk closer to the ground, having more of it, of course. But the broccoli sprouts have 100 times more.
Wow.
Of the sulforaphanes, the good stuff, as a grown-up broccoli. So broccoli sprouts. Now, studies have been done to show that if you give people a flu shot, people in the winter should get a flu shot so you don't get the flu. All right. Just go to your drugstore to get one. Turns out that if you they did a study looking at people getting the flu shot, and they gave half the people a little shake made with broccoli sprouts, and the other group just got a placebo. And the people who got the broccoli sprout shake and the flu shot, their beneficial response of their immune system is 22 times higher.
Huh.
Like it totally rocked if they actually had a broccoli sprout shake. So that's not food versus medicine. That is food and medicine, which is really cool, right?
Interesting.
So we never want to throw out, we don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. We want to figure out how to make everything work even better.
Inflammation is so powerful and it's so potentially destructive that it's very important that it ends when it's supposed to end and stay where it's supposed to stay. I think one of the best things we can do is learn how to contain it. So what are the factors that influence it? It's